to truly understand that state of mind, you need to take it to the extremes. Now, I'm not suggesting that people go and do dangerous things. I'm not recommending it. But if you want to fully get a grasp, you need to take risks. That is a fundamental fact of life. You cannot learn to the full depths of understanding without taking risk, because true understanding comes from experience, and proper experience involves risk. So, I mean, taking psychedelics is a dangerous fucking job. You can lose your you can go batshit insane, you can lose your shit, blah blah blah, the list goes on. It's infinite possibilities. You can die, you know, like, it's no joke. It's not like, oh, we're gonna take this and have a good time. You might end up in a loony bin. That's the risk we take. It's up to you whether or not you think it's worth it. It's certainly worth it for me. I've had many close calls, but what it's made me become as a person, the things that I've learned from it, it's absolutely invaluable. I would not give them back for nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. Anyway, the point I was going to get into is, in these experiences, you have to take it to the extreme, and to do that, the extreme situation will you will either spiral into it, and it will present to you, which is, I mean, that's all. It will become apparent to you, especially if you've had an ego death, that we have no fucking control over anything, really. I mean, we do in a way, but the manner in which we normally think of control is basically an illusion. You're just falling into destiny, I found. I mean, that when I get into these ego death states, there's a state of consciousness in which I am actually falling into the future. I feel as though I'm simultaneously doing and not doing what's happening. And that is odd. It's when you fully become the observer, but you're still connected to the ego, but you're not actually connected enough to the ego to feel like I would be doing this with my hand. That, I feel as though my conscious energy is commanding these neurons to open and close my hand like this. Had I been in that ego death state, I would be here watching myself do this, and it's like a roller coaster. It's very weird, and it's difficult to understand what the implications of this are, because you think, okay, so I feel as though I'm falling into the future here. Does that mean that conscious decisions are merely an illusion, and we're just all on a big fucking track? Or is it that they're not an illusion? They're simultaneously illusionary and reality, because God, whatever you want to call it, essentially is just everything. It plays every part. It's just everything. Now, I often don't feel like I want to say that, but to be quite honest, if you don't buy it, then you don't buy it. If you do buy it, then well, whatever. I'm not gonna limit myself. I'm just gonna say whatever I want. All right. It's up to you whether you want to believe it or not. But God, the Force, consciousness, whatever you want to fucking label it, it's just electrical energy that's everywhere. The all-seeing eye. It's in everything. You are the ground that you walk on. You are me, and I am you. It's weird. You look into somebody's eyes, and you see yourself. That is bizarre. It's funny, you enter a state of... it becomes apparent that life is all about frequency. And depending on what frequency you tune into, somebody could be saying something that is rather mundane, but because you are tuned into this alternate frequency, you can interpret what you are communicating with that in which lies in them that is the divine. So somebody could be saying something like a very little meaning or seemingly very little meaning, and it'll be an expression of themselves and their character. And when you're in this state of being, it's really all just like a big joke. It's funny. It's beautiful. I mean, you can look. It's like there's no one way you can look at it. There's actually an infinite way of looking at it. I mean, you could look at it as a sick joke. You could look at it as a really funny joke. You could look at it as a joke that can be seen as a joke, but because it's also be seen as serious. And then it just becomes apparent that all perception, the infinite spectrum of perception, is absolute freedom. Because supposing you were the creator of the universe, what would you want to, in a void of infinite time and infinite possibilities, the likelihood is that you would end up doing loads of different fucking things, because what else are you going to do? You'd do everything, and then you'd divide your consciousness into each and every little thing, so you can have the infinite experiences for all time. What the fuck else is there to do? You tell me. You know what I mean? Like, what? You think there's something else to do? Like, there's nothing. That's it. But that's not being reductionist. It's like, oh yeah, that's it. Infinity. Are you kidding me? And if you think that, like, this third dimensional plane of existence and this level of complexity is the only fucking limitation on how marvellous this shit can get, then you need to fucking wake up, mate. Right? I've been to, in this NBOME trip, right, I'm not going to get into what happened, but I lost control of my body, and my emotions took control of my actions. Right, after I smoked this joint, blood started bleeding from the wall, writing went on all the walls and shit. Energy charged up my spine. See, beforehand, I did buy the chakra things, but I wasn't. You can't be fully on board with something until you have felt it. I 100%. I can assure you that chakras are a real fucking thing. If you're skeptical about it, I've experienced it 4 times, and the surge of energy that you will feel when that is fully charged is absolutely fucking magnanimous. I cannot tell you how ridiculous that level of power in the body is. It's like, there are no words to describe it. And I suppose that's the problem with these sorts of experiences, because words fall short, because our method of articulating meaning is definition based, and the definitions that we have are designed to describe this material, like the conscious experience that we normally experience. And a lot of these we don't have a language that is catered towards these psychedelic states. Now, I can't speak shamanic languages, but I would assume that their language is a lot more effective at articulating meaning. But even so, I imagine that falls short as well, because you just cannot express it. You just cannot. You have to feel it. Ideas fall short. You have to feel it. Which is why when people start going on about fucking, I know this and that and the other about these sorts of experiences because you've read it in a book and listened to how many fucking lectures. No, mate, you've got fucking no idea. Your ideas are meaningless, because they're based on stuff that you've consumed of other people, what other people have said. Now, there could be somebody out there that has an idea of what it's like that is quite similar to the reality, and they've never experienced the reality. But until you've actually experienced it, the ideas are just theoretical. So, I mean, don't fucking study psychedelics unless you're going to take them, would be my advice. Anyway, this NBOME experience, I crossed a threshold. Well, I essentially got injured. Right, I crossed a threshold, and to explain what happened after I crossed this threshold is you can't remember what happens in these sorts of states. It's impossible. I can remember snippets of it. What I can tell you is I went somewhere else. You can call it the spirit world, you can call it the other dimension, you can call it whatever. What I can tell you about it is the most beautiful thing that I've ever laid eyes on. The complexity of it, it was beyond fucking belief. And what's funny about it is, I remember when I was there, I had been there before, and there was people there that knew me, that I recognised, that when I think about them now, I don't know who they are. First of all, I can't remember the faces properly, and second of all, I can't remember the full fucking scenario. But what I can tell you is, it was more complex than this. It was realer than real. All of the conscious experience was far fucking more intense. And I think I'd essentially woke up in another plane of existence. Now, people say, oh well, it's all happening in your head, you're out of your head on fucking drugs, not to mention a combination of drugs. And yes, that is all they're all very valid points. And I don't disagree with it's all happening in my head either. I think that is the truth. But what do you think that suggests if our heads are capable of creating a dream that is realer than real? What the fuck is the implication of that? You tell me. You tell me what the implication of that is. You're telling me that I can make another fucking world that is more complex than this, with entities that I can interact with higher fucking conscious experience. Not to mention, I've been there before. I'm sorry, mate, but I think there's a pretty fucking clear explanation as to what that is. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, is it really that outlandish? Oh yeah, we're just gonna die and it's lights out. Fuck off. You can fuck off. This isn't all there is. What a load of bollocks. It's a load of fucking shit. I can't believe that people don't have their minds open to these sorts of possibilities. Do you know how weird the fucking world is? Have you observed how weird this world is? It's pretty goddamn weird. I mean, if you go to another country because you're not accustomed to the ways of being and all the different patterns of behaviour, it will feel alien. That is what it feels like when you have an ego death, because all of your familiarity dissolves and you are essentially just in the midst of a load of weird vibrations that you don't understand. And in that state, you can see it for what it is, because you don't have any preconceptions. It's like being reborn. Anyway, the point that I wanted to make getting into these videos is, if you want to fully get a grasp of consciousness and being and the psychedelic experience in general, is you need to be experimental. And experimental in the sense that you are creative in the situations that you put yourself in. And don't shy away from extremities.